Sagittarius, simplicity here. Come in, make yourself comfortable. I have so much to talk to you about. Have you heard? There's a Trixie on the loose in the forest. The Pixie collective is all abuzz, especially at night. Can you hear that? Can you hear the buzzing of their chatter? You don't know what a Trixie is? You haven't heard of a Trixie? Well, a Trixie is a pixie that's gone rogue, and you know that pixies are already a little challenging as it is. Could be a fairy got kissed by too many pixies, and then one perhaps got a little flustered about that and set off to be a little Trixie. A little Trixie. They're in search of something, a little bit of treasure, I have to say. They say they know how to find the crucible, and everybody isn't quite sure about that. There's a lot of buzz about that too. They're making controversial proposals, trying to get people to change camps, go with them on this adventure, this quest to claim the crucible. Apparently somebody else has a hold of it right now, according to this Trixie. You know, the red herring in the stream that runs through the woods is saying that it's all just a great act of smoke and mirrors, a little glamour, so to speak. The red herring says it's a bunch of nonsense and is actually advising that nobody entertain this controversial proposal being made by this Trixie, but then it is a red herring. Could be they're trying to throw us off the scent of a trail. Could be that a crucible does indeed exist. But you know, you never can really know these things for certain unless you go on the adventure and discover for yourself. So to trust a Trixie or not, this may be the question. And then who is the red herring? There's also a lot of debate around this. And some people think that it's a particular troll that's been guarding a bridge. But then others say, no, they've been falsely accused, actually. It's somebody else entirely. One thing is certain. There's a certain sense that the energy is mutable. It's shape-shifty. It knows how to take on new forms. Oh, all of the astrologers have gotten together and they say, well, surely it must be one of the mutable signs in the mix. Is it you? Is it you, Sagittarius? I don't know. Could be a Gemini. Could be a Pisces or a Virgo too. What do we have on the cut of the deck there? I don't know. Judgment is being sound on you, Sagittarius. Perhaps you're on a certain campaign, shape-shifting, taking on new forms, leading a charge. But maybe you're not doing anything that is actually wrong? Is it right? Is it right? Is it wrong? Who makes these distinctions, Sagittarius? Yes. There's a lot of water going on in this situation, I have to say. You might be trying to warm up the water, so to speak, get things cooking. You want to enter the stream of consciousness. Perhaps you are entering the streams of others' consciousness with a certain call you're sounding here, or with some way that you are sharing a message, or perhaps by introducing a controversial proposal. Are you the Trixie energy or are you the red herring? I'm not sure. Maybe you're both. This energy coming in, it's on the other side here. Oh yes, there could be a little balderdash at play. We do have the Ten of Swords here, coming in with that mockingbird energy, making a mockery of things, I see. Yes. There is a particular thought within a nemesis's mind that you desire to shape-shift a bit. Maybe you have entered in their stream of consciousness, weaving a bit of glamour to make them a familiar. keep your enemies closer and all of that action. Interesting message to come in there. Okay. Well, I think there's much to be determined. We shall see how this is playing out. We're going to dive in with the occult tarot. It was begging to be used. It is Friday the 13th, and so I felt it very fitting to work with the energy and play. When this crucible came in, I have to say, Sagittarius, that, you know, the crucible is one of those things that seems unknowable, unable to be grasped, and nobody is really quite sure what the crucible is. And so it made me go exploring. I decided to go down a rabbit hole. And maybe that's what you're working with a little bit here, Sagittarius. Perhaps you're working with a bit of that unknowable quality. Maybe you are weaving a bit of mystery. Maybe you are weaving your own lore around yourself, I have to say. And soon you're going to be the main character. You always were, really, Sagittarius, but others may have cast you in a supporting role. Maybe that's why you went rogue. Maybe that's why you've gone Trixie here. I have to say that there does seem to be like a little balderdash at play in this situation that you are facing. And I think this is only going to continue to amplify. But I did decide to go down a rabbit hole with this one. And we know that when we go down a rabbit hole, we're always working with that trickster medicine. Perhaps it was the Trixie that led me down that rabbit hole. But what I found was quite interesting, and so I want to share it with you. It may provide a clue. Oh yes, it could have been a particular devil there, that Trixie energy. Capricorn energy here. You know, they are quite mutable themselves, even though they are a cardinal sign. I have to say that Capricorn is able to be both of land and sea, just like you represented as that temperance angel. Angels and devils, so many fallen angels, Sagittarius. It's quite interesting, I have to say. But there's something here about a particular pursuit that can make one worse off than ever before. Whoever this character is, they know how to trick mortals into being bound. So we have to remember what we're working with here when we're entering the realm of fairy. It's tricky energy. It's tricky, but yet there's much to be gained at the same time too. Much to be gained at the same time too, but you do need to be aware when in unfamiliar territory that one is like the wanderer. So it's about making yourself accommodating within reason. There could be a certain stubbornness, a certain fixedness that has created a stir among the mutables, I have to say. That's how it's coming in. So there might be more of a need to drop somewhat of a fixed position in a situation. There's a lot of water in this situation. So when you're in a certain environment, flow with the customs of the territory you're in. You might need to shape shift into water a bit, I have to say, in order to be able to navigate the train ahead. But I digress. It's a meandering energy, you see. But I always love to follow that trickster energy because it always takes me back into the center of myself. It spirals me within myself, and out from that experience spirals the new creations of what I'm wanting to weave into my life. It's always a cathartic process, and you may be in somewhat of a cathartic process. We know that a crucible can also be viewed as a particular challenge. It can be viewed as a quest, the hero's quest. It can be a great trial that one has to face, one has to endure. And I thought about that trial, and the first thing I heard actually was witch hunt, and that led me to a play by Arthur Miller. who was a very controversial playwright, I have to say. Most controversial because of his views. He was known to be supportive of Marxist ideology, and because of that, was branded a communist. And so there was always a lot of buzz about him in the wood as well, I have to say. And Marilyn Monroe, she had her share of controversy around her too. She also found herself in certain rooms that not everybody has access to, the highest rooms up. And he had a play called The Crucible. Arthur Miller did, and it was based on the Salem witch trials. It was fictional, but it used as its framework real events. What do we got coming in here? The King of Cups. So you have to flow like water. This is going to provide a key that will provide that waterway, so to speak, how to find your way through a mutable situation where things are very shape-shifty. And perhaps that's why you have learned to shape shift. You've learned to adapt to your environment. You're learning kind of a new flow that takes you out of your usual element because you are fire, okay? You know how to blaze a different kind of trail. You're also the one who holds the wheel of fortune. And especially those of you who are of Ophiuchus ilk, you really hold the energy of the water and the fire through the Scorpio signature. So some of you, Ophiuchuses, may really be working with that energy of transmutation at this time by sort of adjusting yourself to your landscape. But there really is something about working with the water elemental at this time. This is how the story begins. This is how you start to make your way forward down the road, to come into alignment with good familiars, with the King of Cups here. So we do have Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio energy coming in there. Now see what happened with this story as it was adapted by Arthur Miller. And of course, we know the Salem witch trials were a historical event, which were largely stirred up by propaganda. And that's much the basis of Arthur Miller's play, The Crucible. In fact, the storyline is based on how magic is used as a form of propaganda to create a glamour of fear and hysteria. And viewed through this lens, and it's really wanting to come through your energy, and it makes sense to me, Sagittarius, because you do deal with the realms of philosophy and the expansive view, and how do we move an energy into expansion. And there is the call to move the energy collectively into expansion with Pluto in Aquarius, certainly. And this is another thing. This is another thing that the crucible can be. It can be an energy stream that is a frequency, a signature of initiatory events that roll out. And on the worldwide stage, we're in that energy right now, right? And so this tale by Arthur Miller, this play, it bears a lot of similarity to the way media is used at this time to cast a glamour that can stir fear, that can rile up hysteria. And see, in the play, the hysteria was brought on when a group of girls were discovered dancing in the woods with the Reverend's servant, who was actually enslaved and held against her will. And the girls, when they were caught, in order to sort of like cover their butts, because perhaps they shouldn't be dancing, right, with this servant. So in relation to the lay of the land for you, this makes me think that perhaps You caught somebody fraternizing with the so-called enemy. You caught someone being friendly with somebody that they claim to be inhospitable to, okay? Somebody may have let down the drawbridge for a certain energy here that caused you to question motive. And yes, we do have something that feels a little bit suspicious here with the Ace of Wands coming in. Something secret. Somebody was sharing secrets that are meant to be kept hidden. Strictly confidential, certainly. Strictly confidential, but secrets that can be used as weapons. Secrets that can be used in the art of seduction. Energy coming in here with the Ace of Wands. This is likely something that occurred in the fall. It may be the thing that caused you to go rogue in a situation to break a certain karmic loop. You weren't going to be cast into the role of a fool. So instead it was all fool you, and you took on the role of the trickster. You may be the Trixie that's going around making a controversial proposal here. It might be in an effort to kind of catch people up in their own game, I have to say, the way this is coming through, okay? So when these girls, this group of girls accused, the way they kind of pointed fingers was to accuse the servant, I believe her name was Tituba, or Titba. I'm not sure of the correct pronouncing of that, okay? I think it's Tituba. Well, they pointed the fingers at Tituba. We'll say Tituba. It's going to come through like that for our intents and purposes here of delivering the message. Ooh, and delay almost wanted to come out there. Delay the message. There might be somebody who's making nothing into something as a way to act as a red herring, a distractionary measure to divert the attention from what really needs to be paid attention to. Oh yes, it's a vulture kind of energy coming in here with the Three of Swords. And it's definitely trying to feast here on what would be that Ace of Pentacles. This Ace of Pentacles would be the activation of that Stone of Destiny with the Stag. The Stag perhaps being a bit of a guide, an initiatory guardian, the White Stag, the White Heart. Yes, this is an energy that wishes to steal a treasure and destroy the dignity of men. They reveal things past, present, and future, and they cause love, not only between friends, but between foes. This to me feels like this red herring sort of energy coming in here. It's a bit distractionary, okay? So these three girls that got caught dancing with Tituba, they pointed the finger at her and said, well, I must be under an enchantment. It surely must be witchcraft that caused this. And so this incited a witch hunt, okay? And not only did it incite a witch hunt, but soon Salem spiraled out of control into mass hysteria. And soon neighbors were pointing the fingers at one another, and everybody was accusing each other of witchcraft and devil worship. And I think you're dealing with a situation like this. And it's a bit of a cautionary tale, I have to say. Because there's something here about being mindful of the price of fear and suspicion that can actually lead to the condemnation of innocent souls, okay? This is how it's coming through. I thought that was really fascinating when that initial message came through with how much it's also mirroring what is happening on the worldwide stage of life as well. And we've already seen patterns like this roll out, correct? We saw patterns of this roll out in 2020. And we've lived through times like these where neighbors turn on one another. And we're in a climate like that right now too, that is entirely politically motivated. So I find that very fascinating, the parallels there, yes. And this is like a crossing energy coming in here. Oh, here comes the fetch. This is one thing I've been finding as I've been spreading the news between the 3 signs that had the highest views for the channel. You held it down and held up the viewership there, Sagittarius, which is why we're doing this bonus read for you. But I've noticed a thread of connection between Capricorn, Libra, and Sagittarius. Coming in here, the messages have been feeding off of each other, like gaining a certain momentum. And I think that makes sense with Pluto moved from Capricorn into Aquarius. So that energy charge is still there. And there's that signature that's inherent there. But then we also have the quality of Sagittarius. You are holding down the energy of the Jupiter energy being infused into that alignment with the Gemini full moon. So the expansiveness of that comes through communication. And this is something about navigating a new way forward, right? So you're holding a collective charge energy right now. And Libra's ruler, Venus, is currently moving through Aquarius, I believe. I believe it is moving through Aquarius, and it's also really holding that Pluto energy, that Scorpio signature coming in there as well. And Jupiter is also a ruler of Pisces, so that also invokes that water energy there. As well as we have Libra in the South Node, subterranean matter. So it's interesting the way that the collective energy it's creating sort of an energy signature of things coming undone as they're coming in together again. And I did get that inverted double spiral coming in for you as well, just like it came in for Libra. So this is like sort of a continuation of that energy signature, we could say, Sagittarius. So yes, this is about stealing or fetching anything requested. In this case, I feel like this is sort of like a controversial proposal to steal or fetch what could be likened to the crucible here. I can see it as a certain power that people want to get their hands on. And is this power contained in a person, place, or thing? Well, that's the thing about the crucible, is nobody really knows for certain. It's a bit of a mystery. But there's something here about turning a disappointment into a celebration. I got this here. It's a bit of flip it up and reverse it, like a game of Uno energy. So again, that kind of spiraling energy coming in there, where you have an opportunity to actually reveal the secret of the crucible, to actually discover what the crucible is, where it's found. The thing is, though, in making controversial proposals, it's almost like you're also subject to the same energy. It can bring you questionable familiars. And so there may have been somebody you were alerted to in your surroundings that you're questioning as a familiar. All right. And this is why you're going rogue. And now you're in sort of strange territory, because it's like, well, now I need to really discover, who am I truly aligned with? Now, going back to that piece of the crucible, the play by Arthur Miller. What is the price? What is the price to those who are condemned, the innocent who are condemned? Well, they end up like the hanged man. They end up at the gallows. And in fact, historically, that's how it went down. Others were thrown to the waters, right? They were thrown to the waterways. Do they float or do they sink like a stone? Okay, there's a little bit of this message coming through here. But I'm taking you down the rabbit hole with me in my stream of consciousness for your download, Sagittarius. As soon as I thought of the Hanged Man in tarot, and you may want to carry the Hanged Man with you as sort of an archetype, a reflection point, a guide, a pocket guide, you could say, on your quest, you would be surprised what happens when you actually carry the tarot cards on your person and you journey with them. They do awaken a sort of navigation, I have to say. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. That gets you into that hidden territory, okay? This has big griffin sort of energy here. 7 of Wands. Yes, it's essential maybe that you pay heed to this piece here, because there could be potential for there to be loss. And there's something here about making sure you're not making familiars out of those who should remain strangers, because some may seem friendly, but their intentions are cloaked, right? There's something you need to be very mindful of here. And this is talking about shielding, okay? And I have some more details about that. We'll get into that, all right? But there is some treasure here that you do need to shield. I do feel like if anybody can unlock the secret of the crucible, it is you, Sagittarius. I feel like you are being charged with this quest and it's coming through you. But there's something here about not all is meant to be shared. And some of what comes through must be cloaked, okay? Now, you could be approached by a Trixie as well, who makes a controversial proposal to you that seems like it could be to your benefit if you worked with them in an effort to recover this crucible. But you have to really understand the price of that. Is this person a spin doctor? Could they point their finger at you? Oh, and then all of a sudden you find that you bear the albatross and you no longer have the power to activate Thor's hammer and bring down that lightning that brings down the lightning, that brings a tower to all that is false. There is some opposition you're coming up against here. It's something that at one time you felt was contained, but it's gone a bit rogue. And I have to say, the energy is coming through sort of as a mirrored energy. And of course it always is, but it really is coming through as maybe it's like almost an avatar energy, that a part of your psyche is like mocked up, that's run amok. This is how it's coming through. Just has completely become stubborn in the pursuit of this crucible and is no longer willing to acquiesce, is no longer willing to go with plans, but is very much in a state of rebellion. And there may be somebody that is actually recognizing that in some way you have discovered the red herring. You've discovered what was distractionary, or you've discovered what was truly the propaganda, what has caused an innocent to be condemned here. And because of this, there's a particular character here who may want to slow you down. It's coming in as Earth. Okay, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn energy wants to anchor you. It doesn't want you to find the albatross. It instead wants you to become, oh, it doesn't want you to find the albatross? Oh, is it something you're not aware that was even put on you? Does the albatross come through a certain crafting of words? Does the albatross come through the propaganda? Is it a bit of MK Ultra? Is a bit of a handler energy that is actually an albatross that prevents you from actually rising up into your destiny, proceeding on the path of the hero's quest? This is how it's coming through. Yes, it makes messengers come into you. Messengers come in with this energy. There may even be something that comes through on Messenger that you need to be aware of. The birds are chirping. They appear as though they're tame, but they're not. They're just like the ravens at the end of the Grimm's fairy tale Cinderella that came and plucked out the ugly stepsister's eyes as the result of the price of spinning that particular narrative. So this could be a little bit of eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Interesting energy coming in here. What card do we have here? I do have a name that's coming out on a card, so I am going to bring it in since it's so clearly presenting itself, but it is Amy is the name. Yes, this is somebody who's hiding information, okay? It doesn't have to be somebody named Amy, but I feel like they have this hidden in almost of like, it's got the energy of like a Chinese finger trap. You know, this pointing of fingers, right? You get into this energy and then soon you're in a fixed position. You can't get yourself out of a certain quagmire. This could be somebody that is stirring up this dissension, and it's actually providing somewhat of a red herring. It's a distraction from where the true treasure is hidden. And for you, I feel the treasure is the crucible. Normally, if this is upright, it brings an excellent familiar, but it was in reverse. So yes, this is somebody that may appear familiar, but it's actually at odds. The initials A, M, and Y may be significant. And it's interesting too, because as I'm looking at this in reverse, an M turned around upside down. I'm working with those spirals, right? There is something about that orientation of the counterclockwise, clockwise spiral, right? The M can become a W. And when I look at those three different letters and scramble them up in a new way, I can see it being the way, the way through, okay? I continue. It gets deeper. It gets deeper. The rabbit took me deeper. This is going to be a big download that comes in for you, Sagittarius. But it certainly benefits the collective, especially with that important transit we have going on of Jupiter in Gemini that's going to be with us until the nodes of destiny shift next year in the middle of 2025. Yes, see, this is the work that needs to be done. You will have the answers you need, the answers to the past, present, and future. Dignity will be restored. Perhaps you feel like somebody's been on a smear campaign in regard to you, Sagittarius. I do feel that you are granting certain favor here from friends. I also feel that there may be somebody that is switching camps here, or it could be your switching camps, Sagittarius. At one point, you were a foe. you went rogue. You were working with a particular collective of pixies, or perhaps you were working with a few of these damsels that were dancing in the wood with somebody they shouldn't be dancing with. Were they dancing with you, Sagittarius? That could be. You may have realized that you got reeled into something that now you want to unwind. You may decide that you want to assist somebody that perhaps if others caught you assisting them, they might decide that you are now foe, where you were once friendly. I can see this energy is a very mirrored energy. And we have to remember the energy of hysteria, all right? If there's lots of rumors of witchcraft being thrown around, and if everybody's on a witch hunt, then they're going to suspect everybody soon. Pronoia, the belief that everything is working in my favor, all of life is converging to make my destiny possible. It instead becomes something quite different. Everything is working against me. Everyone is working against me. There is a situation here where this is being seeded. It is being seeded. But that brings me to the next piece that wants to come in here that continually gets sort of looped back around. It's like, no, don't go down that pathway. Oh, but we will. It is the pathway we must go down here, because what came in for me when I thought of the Hanged Man and that archetype, and I do think you should journey with that card, it will benefit you greatly. Just keep it in your pocket. Let it be your archetypal ace up the sleeve, you could say, okay? There could be dualistic meaning there. I instantly thought of Odin. I thought of Odin hanging from the Yggdrasil tree, which is an initiation in and of itself. An initiation into what? Well, one could say a crucible of sorts, certainly, because he went through quite a testing trial as he hung from that world tree. He had to go through that transfiguration process, though. He went through that transfiguration process to retrieve the crucible, one could say, the symbols, the signs that housed the creative energy that brings all worlds into being through the runes. And there's only one way to retrieve that information. It's not something that you can steal. Perhaps somebody was trying to steal something of this nature. Perhaps trying to steal it from another who is empowered with this. Oh, you can't do this. Yes. See, somebody was too prideful here. Oh, and this whole deck is upside down. Oh, yes. This whole deck is upside down. We have Queen of Swords energy in reverse. We've dived real south here, okay? Air sign energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. It's also speaking of Libra, South Node here. Maybe somebody feels that this individual has hoarded a certain crucible all to themselves. They've buried it deep down in the roots. Perhaps others have been searching for this particular treasure, I have to say. Can transform a person into a bird. Maybe this person has achieved the crucible already. And so there's some desire perhaps to follow that Queen of Swords down the rabbit hole to find where she's hidden it. But that's interesting in and of itself, I have to say, because, you know, a crucible can also be, well, it can come through as a vestige. It can come through in the vestiges of horns or scales or wings, feathers, claws, certainly. It's something that allows what is otherworldly, because we can look at the crucible as not really having a human form. It doesn't have a human form, but it can be animated through humans, through vestiges. So perhaps this is a particular vestige that houses the crucible. Perhaps there is a Queen of Swords that has her hands on this. Could be a particular feather, could be a particular horn, it could be a particular, could it be the horn of judgment? That just coming through, that's rather abstract, but certainly, okay, it wants to present itself as such. Interesting. The embodying of that archetype, okay. What do we got crossing there? Oh yes, we have the sun. We have the sun here, and look at the shapeshifter energy there, making an indecent proposal, perhaps to somebody who's been in a position of servitude. Maybe that's who this red herring is trying to affect right now. But I digress. Do you see this energy always wants to come in to throw off the trail of the thread that we are following there? This is somebody promising treasure. They're saying, oh, I can make you rich. I can make you smart. I can give you all worldly power. Oh, they're very convincing, very silver-tongued. They know how to spin this tale, this proposal, I have to say. Yes, but what they really want to do is work with that judgment energy a bit. They want to gather the spirits at tombs and change the places of the dead. This is, let me play that hand, perhaps. That is that hanged man. Let me play that hand. I'll cut you a deal, but really there's this desire to trade places. Trade places. I mean, it all leads to initiation one way or the other. So truly, it's more like, well, maybe you stole treasure. Someone stole treasure in this situation. They tried to do so through nefarious means. They didn't go about it the proper way. Well, the collective of Pixies will have none of that. They'll hold you to it. They will ensure you get caught up. Well, we are dealing with Norfolk here, coming in through that imagery of Odin. That is the Norse fairy lineage there coming through. You may have Norse lineage. You may be fascinated with Norse mythology, this energy coming in. It may be really speaking to you right now, and that's how it needs to come through for you, Sagittarius. Okay. So we see motive here too. Why is there distraction? Why is there finger pointing? Well, somebody feels that somebody already holds the crucible. They want access to this. They want to find the way to hold this power. It's like a power energy that wants to be contained, because you could also view the crucible as the Oran Moor, the great song that ripples through all of existence. And again, that brings in the singers of creation. That brings in She of the Crush, and that brings in that energy of the singer of the chalice. A chalice can be a crucible, as can a cauldron be a crucible. It can be a space that holds the medium of water, right? A conduit where you can bring in that double spiral of devolution, evolution, to bring things into being, to enact an energy stream of initiatory events, certainly on a collective level, but also on an alchemical level. So that detail is very interesting. So there could very well be a Libra tie-in here. Perhaps there is a Libra who's been villainized in this situation as well. Perhaps they're on the witch hunt for the Libra. Surely the Libra did it. And with that, we have, oh yes, Furfur here. See, there's that stag energy. Notice how the stag comes in with wings, though. It's a shape-shifting energy. Oh, I'm the destiny. Follow me. I'll spirit you away there. It's the hunt. And the hunt is tricky. Now we're bouncing back and forth through different mythos. The hunt is Trixie, I have to say. And everything's Trixie when we're in fairy. And certainly when there's a Trixie on the loose, a pixie that's gone rogue. But you see, this is very fascinating because when Ceridwen is chasing Gwion, who later becomes Taliesin, cast into the sea, where he goes through a transfiguration, correct? First, there's the hare, that rabbit energy going down that rabbit hole, traveling into the subterranean journey, which is necessary. You have to journey in such a way to gain certain empowerments. It's required. It's an initiatory process, just like Odin went through hanging from the Yggdrasil tree. But then there's a morphing of the energies. Gwion becomes a shapeshifter. Gwion gained access to a certain empowerment Gwion was not supposed to have access to. It was just through sort of being a little unfocused, perhaps distracted by a particular red herring that caused Gwion to do that. Gwion had been stirring a particular pot, right, for 13 moon cycle. It had to be stirred in order to imbue Ceridwen's rather unseemingly unattractive, but, you know, yet still lovable as her son, to gain a certain wit, a certain intelligence, a certain Awen, we could say, which is like amusing energy, in order to be more enticing of a prospect to potential maidens, okay? She had to find a way for her son to gain advantage. But see, Gwion benefited from this power, this Awen, by default, because of being unfocused, being distracted, accidentally in stirring, spilled a little bit of that potion meant for Ceridwen's son and lapped it up from his hand, and then began to become the ire of Ceridwen. So maybe the witch is the one on the hunt. Maybe it's not a witch hunt. Maybe it's backwards, see? Working with a spiral of creation. Things need to come undone before they can come together. So the witch is on the hunt. The witch is on the hunt for the apprentice. Okay, I could see it as this. The wizard's on the hunt for the apprentice. The sorcerer's on the hunt for the apprentice, okay? And the apprentice is learning how to shapeshift because they gained access to certain knowledge that they stole in rather a covert sort of way, okay? They may have been put up to it, though, by a red herring who presented a controversial proposal, I have to say. And this could be why the collective of Pixie'S is abuzz. But what's interesting about this energy is that as it shape shifts, finally, it does come to the point where Gwion shape shifts into a seed. And there's a huge connection point here, okay? Gwion shape shifts into a seed. And in shape shifting into a seed, at this point, Ceridwen had become the hen. And so she's like, ooh, I got him, right? And she eats the seed, okay? But she eats the seed and then she births him as Taliesin, basically casting him into the sea where he goes through his transmutation. So I feel like somebody is trying to escape an initiation into a certain empowerment that they gained in an unethical way. But see, here's the thing. You never get to gain an empowerment in an unethical way. You only get tricked by the trickster onto the path. And your initiation instead goes on quite a different form than you expect. So it's sort of like one thought that they could bypass initiation into certain knowledge, into the attainment of certain treasures, so to speak, but they haven't. they're currently in this process of initiation right now. And that's that hanged man energy. So if you felt like you've been hung up, or if you felt like the forces have been working against you, quite true. They could have been working against you. You could have been subject to a collective of pixies. They may have sent out a rogue pixie, a Trixie, to play some tricks on you so that you would fool yourself into your initiation. It's a bit of being dragged there, kicking and screaming, I have to say. I have a way. I do have a certain crucible. I do. I hold a certain crucible. I'm happy to share it with you. I will share it with you at the end here, but it's only a starting point from a certain crucible that you are meant to discover, because you see, the crucible can also be a thing. Yes. Okay. So this is the point where all things come undone, unwound before they begin again with death here. Lucifer, light bearer, is shining a particular light of awareness into this matter that provides a certain kind of liberation and illumination. This illumination may make you like a bright, shining one. It may inspire quite a bit of jealousy and envy, perhaps from a Scorpio with that death energy coming in there. This Scorpio could be the witch that's on the hunt that you need to be aware of here. Tag, you're it, okay? It's a bit of a game of tag, I have to say. Perhaps that's what the pointing of fingers is about. It's a trap. Because when you point a finger at another, you're tagging them with the energy signature. It's like a game of tag. Ooh, it's a transference of energy. And see, that's another way you can view the crucible. It can be sort of like an energy current. It can be a place where all worlds and potential realities are blended together through the current of the double spiral. And certainly that could be in a chalice. That certainly could be within a cauldron as well. This could be a particular witch's cauldron. But then there's also the aspect of mana that is contained within a crucible. So this can be like a talisman. And then that made me think of today, and Friday the 13th, since we were on the Norse vein, and it made me think of Freya. And Freya, her day is Friday the 13th. This is Freya's day. And it made me think of her necklace that held that mana. It was a crucible. The Bringsman. So this could be a particular amulet. And isn't that interesting? Because that piece came in too on Libra's download. The piece about the fairy wanting a particular amulet. Now the amulet, the Bringsman, this magical necklace that Freya had, it was made of amber. And amber also comes from tree resin. We got here Ace of Swords in reverse. Okay, so this is a particular truth, okay, that needs to be reclaimed, okay? Yes, because Friday the 13th has, through fear, right, and hysteria, has been spun into something of a bad luck day, and there's a lot of superstition around it, when it used to be seen as a day of great power and a day of great magic and a day of great potential. Freya is a goddess of magic. She's also a goddess of war. She has very fierce dualistic energy. One could say she holds both Mars and Venus energy, but she's absolutely associated with Venusian energies, love, beauty, all of that. Well, we know that we have that planet Pluto, which really holds the Scorpio charge, hanging out in Aquarius. We also know that Venus has moved into Aquarius. So, well, you got love and war right there. And that's also what's in alignment with the North Node, South Node energy. So this is about a particular narrative that needs to be spun around here about Friday the 13th that's coming through, spun around in regard to Freya, because it's said that Freya's tears are what created Amber. It's like the villainization of the Freya energy by taking away the day of empowerment and casting it into the place of something to be feared or something that should be scorned upon. So this could be somebody who holds a lot of Venus energy in their chart. This could be one who's ruled by Venus that has had deception cast upon them, the cloak of deception cast upon them. Maybe this cloak of deception cast upon them has given them a certain sense of imperceptibility, like it's cloaked their energy almost. This has acted as an inhibiting factor, perhaps in relation to their destiny. So this could have something to do with Libra. It could have something to do with Taurus as well. And with this, there's something that has been stirred here by somebody who wanted to steal a particular treasure. There's the Griffin energy holding on for dear life as this wave of change is coming in here. Yes, so there's something that's about to be cleansed here. Somebody who tried to avoid, they tried to avoid the transformation, the initiation. Oh no, it's coming here. There's purification that's required here. I see this. They soon will be birthed in that cauldron of creation, which is the source, which is the ocean, which is the 12th house of Pisces, right? It's the karmic cycle coming undone, so the new spiral of creation can come into being here. This is a seductress energy as well, okay? They cause themselves to be shown naked if desired, okay? So again, this could have something to do with a controversial proposal. This can also be like a piece of be careful who you make bedfellows. Be careful of the secrets that slip as you lay under the covers with another as well. It's pillow talk. It seems harmless. It's not. Okay? In fact, this could be a ruse to draw somebody in to gain access to hidden territory they are not supposed to have access to. See, because that's another thing about the crucible, okay? She who holds the crucible, it's coming through as that, because in the Libra read, it came through as she of the crutch. So holds this crucible, holds this cauldron of creation, holds this chalice through the activation of the singer of the chalice, where all elements are blended together to create a ripple effect that brings about creation. Cosmic web of creation. Oh, now I understand why that came through. Because initially I was like doodling as I was dropping into your energy, Sagittarius, and I saw like a spider descending on a web. And then it quickly didn't look like a spider to me anymore. It looked like a jellyfish. And jellyfish is the energy of sensitivity, great sensitivity. So there's a lot in this energy that's like moving through very sensitive territory. And some of it may be quite shocking, I have to say. Some of it has the potential to sting. as certain realizations are arrived at. This just coming in. I just made an interesting connecting point there, mid-read. And that's a bit like this energy. The more you get a different view at something, like the Hanged Man, the more you will see things differently. But you see, the crucible can also be something that was once considered divine, becoming cast into an impurity, something to be reviled. And this is as the result of programming. So this could be somebody that was once seen in a positive light, that's been cast as being impure in some way, something to be rejected, something to be cast aside. It's as a result of hysteria. It's as a result of propaganda. It's the result of what's been spun, the lore that's been spun around this person, you could say. And I'm coming back again to the chalice. This is the place, the chalice, the cauldron. This is the place where all elements are able to be blended together. And that made me think of that tree. It brings me back to the beginning, to the Yggdrasil tree, to the world tree. The tree that is also a crucible in and of itself. It is all these things in one. It is the housing of the Oran Mor, the great song that is brought into creation through the talismans of the runes, that also speak things into existence and communicate about hidden things through the hidden language of the runes themselves, and how they speak archetypally so that certain information, certain knowledge is not able to be retrieved by those who are not ready for it. Only those who have gone through an initiation. So perhaps a certain treasure that one has obtained through nefarious means is not a treasure at all. Perhaps it's fool's gold. This energy coming in here. The crucible can also be seen. I'm getting this coming in, this funneling in right now. The crucible can also be seen as the rose. To expect to steal the bloom without having grasped the thorns. Oh, yes. Yes. And perhaps it is that great shield of the Norfolk that can only be arrived at through the gift of the Yggdrasil tree that is made of rose gold. It's the transmutation point of the thorns. Somebody tried to escape the thorns. Oh, but the thorns are coming. Yes, yes, yes. There's the activation of the wisdom. And now we have the invitation to enter the realm. Here is your medicine, owl medicine, in warrior mode with the great horned owl coming in there. Yes, there's much to learn here for you. Much to learn here. Through the study of the cosmos, you will learn much. There's also certain knowledge you are going to gain about the values of herbs and precious stones, and I will share a bit with you here. You're coming through as an ally. Yes, an ally to catch up one who thought they could be a bit of a skinwalker here. They thought they could try somebody else's skin on for size. They thought that they could swap destinies, but it's not possible to swap destinies. That is not something that is possible. And to think you can achieve that is a bit of fool's gold, I have to say. So yes, this could be you playing this hand here in a very well thought out way. Oh, and here comes the lovers, the Gemini energy with the full moon. Yes, there is going to be a turning point here in this tale. But this is an energy that brings two together that are meant to harmonize. Together they form the way. Together they form the way. They are the mirror. They are the mirror, and it's understanding this that releases one from a Chinese finger trap. You see, when you're in a Chinese finger trap and you're pointing fingers at each other, right? Let's look at it that way. Let's look at it as a crucible of sorts. Let's look at the Chinese finger trap as a crucible, okay? It is a container. Maybe it's a container that points the way. There's only one way to get out of a Chinese finger trap. You cannot struggle with it. No, you have to completely let go, give over, just like the hangman, just like Odin did when he hung from the Yggdrasil tree before that language that spoke of hidden things, those magics were awakened within him. There's a big point that comes through. It's communicated in that way, symbolically, okay? It's an awakening through a certain letting go that finally occurs that frees you from the crucible, the test, the trial of that Chinese finger trap. And it brings about the proper alignment here with the lovers. It says here, causes women to love men and brings them together in love. There's also the tricky energy here, though, can make women barren. And I feel that's in relation to this skinwalker kind of energy. It's not a skinwalker in the traditional perspective of it, okay? It's more an abstract sort of archetype of that energy. It's like somebody wanting to swap destinies, wanting to take on another's form. Ooh, almost like a decoy energy. That could be the red herring. There's something that's illuminated around full moon in regard to this that you need to catch. It's very important. There's some sign that comes through there that points the way. That points the way, that frees you from the gridlock. Something that's been a very stubborn position. Something that has been very unruly. Something that's been very disciplined and has created a lot of mayhem. It's got Trixie energy around it. It's like a pixie energy gone rogue. Maybe by somebody working with that energy, working with the energy of fairy that had not yet gained entry into the realm of fairy. Maybe they tried to hitchhike a way in. I could see that. I could see that. Oh, that's fascinating. Okay. And I got that it's that tree, okay? It's really coming through as the world tree. And remember that came in for those of you that caught the Libra read. This energy came in, right? About Shia the crush and this energy. And I'm almost seeing it as you can only gain access to these waters, right? Because when you're tapping the roots, right? If you look at that world tree, it passes through all the layers of the world itself. And when we're looking subterraneanly, well, you always reach that point of transmutation. There's the water template, certainly. Deeper than that, even still, there's the core of the earth. And the core of the earth is molten, and it's the fire energy. That makes me think of the point of alchemy, the water, the fire, right? But it makes me think of within the roots of that world tree, since it's coming in on Freya's day, this is how it's presenting itself. It's a bit of Norfolk fairy coming through here. There is that same double spiral, right? the double spiral sigil that came in the Libra read. And I'm quite happy to attune those of you to it now who wish to receive it. You don't have to receive it, but if you wish to receive it, it can make the flow easier for you, I'm told. But it's okay to just take it in too without activating it. But I'm showing you so you can activate it. It may come through as mirrored for you. It's actually, the first loop is done counterclockwise, starting from the center of the left-hand side of the spiral and rotating in 5 revolutions outward, counterclockwise, so moving widdershins, okay? So and then it turns and it starts to spiral outward. It moves to the right. And again, 5. So 5 for the change to be activated, for the energy signature pathway to come unraveled, or the old creation cycle, or the old karmic cycle, and 5 to move clockwise or diacyl toward the right. It forms a bit of an infinity loop. Like so, okay? So I'll do that again. So if you wish to receive the charge of it, simply say yes now. And if you don't say yes, don't worry, you won't take it in. But I do want you to have knowledge of this. I did post it on the community board here, so you can see it drawn out if you want to work with this a bit. But I'll bring it in to charge you with this crucible of sorts, you could say, if you wish to receive it. Okay, it will enter you into this stream. It will initiate you into this stream of energy, which is actually the transformation point. It's when you are able to move within this realm safely, okay? So it's to be in the world, but not of the world. It gives you a little bit of luck in that passage coming in with the 7 energy signature there. And it is what activates the chalice, okay? So getting to all of this, as I went down the roots of this tree, it made me think of that world tree and how perhaps that world tree itself is the crucible. It is 1:13:03 on the clock when I brought that in, which comes to 16:17:8, the manifestation point. And an 8 turned on its side is what? It's the infinity symbol. And it's also this. I love how that came through. It made me think how the world tree itself, or a particular personification of it, because who knows, the crucible for you can come through the physical in your environment. Your crucible is unique to you, but whatever the crucible is, it holds the energy of the world tree, do you see? So you may be asked to connect with a dryad energy, to connect with a tree that provides a shield for you to safely travel between realms as you are retrieving the treasures that are meant for you, the treasures that you can only obtain through questing for them. They cannot be stolen. Yes, do you see? They cannot be stolen like Apophis here. Here comes Apophis trying to steal the sun. No, that is not possible. It's not possible. And see, somebody here is going to kind of like reveal their hand that they stole something they were not really able to have access to. And I say that because this can make one very intelligent and bold, let's say, okay? Intelligent and bold. So it's almost like, yes, they do gain certain smarts, right? And they gain the ability to be very bold with what they're saying, but it's because they stole it from a source they weren't supposed to steal it from. So this could even be something that is yours, Sagittarius, that was taken from you by another, and you are wanting to reclaim it back. And maybe somebody is being very bold. They're being very bold about who's holding it, because they took it from that person. Ooh, interesting. They took it from that person, so they're able to speak with authority on it. Because they know they got it from the source. They got it from the source, but they presented it as if it's theirs. Creating a false way through. I got that. It's this shapeshifter energy that wanted to trade places, okay? Knight of Cups, Seven of Swords. It comes through the water energy. Do you see? The waterway. The waterway is not the true way. It comes in with Seven of Swords. There's something that needs to be transmuted here. By transmute, see, this needs to be transmuted for two in order to find the way through. We have the Caduceus coming in here. And it says, returns items and punishes thieves, reveals the hidden treasures. Wow. Knight of Cups. Knights of the Crucible. Knights of the Crucible. How to journey through the elven star. Well, it's different for each of us. That's the thing about the elven star. There is no one right way through. But I feel like sharing a particular crucible for you. And it's something that is traditionally done on Friday the 13th for those who've become superstitious, for those who have believed the hype, you could say, who've fallen into a bit of hysteria. And it is something that comes from tradition. There's roots to this bit of, you could call it folk magic or talismanic magic of sorts. So it is a crucible, and it is a crucible passed down through oral tradition. But I like how, even though it's something that was distorted, right? Friday the 13th being distorted as a bad luck day or something to be scorned or something to be feared, much like Freya's power. There's something very interesting coming in here. This charm against what is evil actually still holds the seed of that world tree, the Yggdrasil tree. And that leads me to the acorn. So you see, in olden times, in ancient times, to protect themselves from hexes, curses, enchantments, and the like, one only needs to carry an acorn on their person. And this provides a certain sense of protection when traveling through certain realms. Certainly within the realms of the Norfolk, it is necessary to be mindful of the roots. And what is the roots of that Yggdrasil tree? Well, it all comes from a seed. And what is that seed? The seed is the Oran Mor, the great song. And how does one gain access to sing the great song that brings all things into being? Well, there's something that needs to be discovered here. What's held within this crucible? What can be stirred into creation in this crucible? Do you see? It looks like an eye of protection. It looks like a shield. A shield. And I did get this piece of the tree, being the shield itself. The shield itself coming in here. Also, look at the top as well. Look at that. Protects for two. Ooh, I see the way through now. There's something here. There's a seed that's being planted here right now. If you've made it this far, that you're receiving. And this is the seed from which your story now unfolds. Godspeed, Sagittarius.